Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Radiant Black podcast. This is a podcast focused on Radiant Black and all things Massiverse by Kyle Higgins, Marcelo Acosta, Becca Carey, sorry about that, and Michael Basuto. And this is just start over. Had a source.
Yeah, sure, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, no worries.
And messaging me so many chats I have to mute. All right. Okay, now good. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Radiant Black podcast. This is a podcast focused on Radiant Black and all things Massiverse by Kyle Higgins, Marcelo Acosta, Becca Carey, and Michael Basuto. Today, I'm joined by my friends and my fellow co-hosts, Matt, Charlie, and Ali. It's been a minute here. A lot of things have happened since the last episode, even though I posted a Radiant Roster episode that was recorded right there. So how's everybody?
Yeah, doing pretty good, man. Just got back from school, had a bunch of tests today, and this week was pretty crazy, all around overall. So it's nice to just get to chill here and talk about this super anticipated issue from us. Like we've been super waiting, ready to talk about this issue, but also just reading this thing like ever since that first Origin issue. Like this has really been wanting to know more about this character, and here we are, and yeah, can't wait to dive deeper into it.
Yeah, I'm excited too. It's been a while since this issue was out, but my excitement is still at the same level, if not higher. I've reread it a few times, and each time I find new things, so I'm excited to get into it and talk about it with you guys.
Yeah, same. I mean, this is the Origin I was most anticipating, besides Marshall's after talking about all that Morrow talk with the Dead Lucky talk last episode. So, this was a super ambitious issue, even by Radiant Black standards. Well, actually, maybe not by Radiant Black standards, but for, by like Marvel DC, run of the mill standards. Yeah, this was a hell of an undertaking, and I think Kyle pulled it off, and I'm excited to talk about the implications for the future.
Marvel DC, you're being called out by Matt right now. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
better watch out.
You better
watch out. But that's a great point. You guys are right. This is just an issue that's been anticipated for a while, and I can't wait to dig into it. It's been a rough few days of the hurricane, so I wish everybody, Hurricane Ian and Fiona, is recovering well. I didn't have power for like 6 days, so that's why the recording of this episode is late.
It's not worse than your last run-in with a hurricane, though. Jesus Christ, right?
Yeah, no, this is bad one for all.
Made the papers. Not that we're gonna share it, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this is a good thing. It's good to have something like the Radiant Black number 18 discussion to look forward to. So
yeah, and digital comics don't help you with no power. So physical comics, baby.
You just got your power back today, right?
Yesterday. So
yesterday. So.
Yeah, that's really happy. And so we, before we dive into the episode, there's actually some updates in the Massiverse world. The first update is that all the Massiverse comic books have been delayed, and if you want the specific titles, I'll give it to you and write this in 1 second. So, and I find this to be totally normal in my opinion, so I'm not upset or anything. Like I'm always anticipating this kind of thing because they're doing an incredible job. It's not even that.
It's pretty consistent most of the time too. So delay here and there isn't that bad.
Yeah, exactly. We've been spoiled so far. Like they've been so dead on schedule. And I mean, yeah, it does suck having to wait a month, but like,
yeah,
definitely not the end of the world. Like, you know what I mean?
It'll be a nice break for our wallets for a month or two. That's fine. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, we got the Infinite Edition.
yeah, that's true.
Which we'll talk about.
We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, no, you guys are right. It's just a month, and I think for those of you who want the specifics, the Dead Lucky number 5 is now releasing December 28, 2022. Rogue Sun number 10 is releasing January 18, 2023. And Radiant Black number 21 is releasing January 4, 2023. So not a big deal, honestly. All things considered, it could be worse. So yeah, I agree with everything you guys said. The next item on the checklist is we've got Radiant Red trade paperback coming out, and I know we've mentioned this once before, but we got one minor update that I think I don't want to. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Michael Basuto said that they're also printing Radiant Black number 6 in the Radiant Red trade paperback.
Yes,
Yeah,
he
that's
did
pretty
confirm
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm picking that up just because that's a sweet package right there for the price. So I'm gonna get on that, and I recommend that those of you who
Is it also going to be $10, like US dollars at least?
it's 16.99 for the Radiant Red. So
Okay.
which
That's
I
still
still
not too
think
bad.
I still think it's pretty good. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna
That's still
I'm gonna
very fair.
yeah I'm
Yeah.
grabbing that. So I'm just saying,
100%.
and I recommend those of you who haven't checked out Radiant Red to grab it, and for those of you who wanna gotta catch them all, go for it. I know Matt's gonna be the first one in line for a Radiant Red trade paperback. I'm just saying.
I already have 6 pre-ordered, and I've got my Christmas gifts ready. No, but that Mercury form, that doesn't come back. If people that missed out on Radiant Red don't get to see the Mercury form, like, Jesus Christ, like, I think for me, it's almost as cool as the Hulkbuster.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah, I would
It's
agree.
really cool.
It's
Yeah,
sleek, and it'd be a good way to like imagine how these characters could evolve. Like we've seen base forms, we've seen some cape modes and some powered up forms, but like 5 years from now, like who knows what we'll be looking at. Anyways.
Yeah, and actually, just to spin off of that, like even if we don't bring back that particular form anytime soon, just the idea that she could have multiple forms based on what's happening within the contest, like maybe they'll even give her like a newer form. So, like
Whatever the element, she can
yeah,
adapt.
Yeah, based on
Fire,
the substance.
yeah, she's got a lot of like endless possibilities basically with Radiant Red, really. So just get creative. But yeah,
Suck
no,
up the ocean. Yeah, something
no.
like that. Sweet.
The next item is a big one actually, and it's two items. Earlier, like a week or two ago, they announced a Radiant Black number 18 Infinite Edition and the Rogue Sun number 7, I believe, Glow in the Dark Edition. So I just want to say before we really go into this, the Infinite Edition's awesome, no question there. And the Rogue Sun Glow in the Dark is oh my God, like that was the one that really got me.
It's so fucking cool.
Yeah, and thanks to Ali because he actually was the one who got it for me because I was I didn't have power, so I almost missed out on that. But no, I thanks. But yeah, what would you guys did? I'm assuming everybody just got one of them at least.
Yeah, I mean,
did.
I got both for myself and then 2 for you, like you said.
Yeah, I
waiting
got
for
one
that.
of each.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that Radiant Black van that's down in the luck, and I can just steal their prized possessions for like a fraction, for pennies on the dollar. No, I didn't. I missed out on some stuff. Yeah, I'm not good with money, so I got to be careful. Like, if I have money in my bank account, like it's going somewhere stupid. Like I will get whoopee cushions, and not to save the future, just random foolishness. So yeah.
Oh my God.
But yeah, no. Obviously, there's so much stuff here. Like I'll go broke, and like the repo guy will just be like, "Well, what is this comic, Radiant Black?" Like, yeah, they take all this stuff.
Yeah, no, that's
Dude,
yeah.
number one's already selling for like $25-$30.
Rightfully
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, it was just crazy. It
consistently.
was just crazy. Like that's amazing.
That
Yeah.
number one cover, like it's so cool how it has the colors of all the Radiant Black characters, and it's so different than all the other covers to me. I love it.
Oh, 100% Michael Cho, man. That's why I was so eager to get a doodle or sketch or signature or anything, really. And yeah, just I mean, guys, I think there's still some Radiant Black Infinite and 18 Infinite and Rogue Sun Glow in the Darks available on the website Comic Sketch Art. So if you want to grab a copy, go for it. They're as far as we've heard, they're New York City Comic Con exclusives. So that's the occasion. The Infinite Edition, if you don't know. And we're just all in awe, so nobody mentioned it, but it's like a one-page fold-out kind of thing where the entire book just pulls it onto one page, so you need like a conference table basically to be able to read it. But
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, honestly, like I was surprised they didn't do something like this for Nightwing 87, like something like this. Like I'm surprised something like
Yes.
that's
Yes,
something.
that would've been
I
dope.
wanted-
It was like
I
this
wanted
company's
to
more
make
innovative than
yeah.
DC. No,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, it would have been perfect.
Yeah,
Kyle's
but-
like, haha, up yours, you know. It's a
Yeah,
DC
but
comic.
but even that, like that was just a straight linear. That was more of an art show, like by Bruno Redondo. But this, like just the way the story was told, like page to page, like just the way you had to read it and how you could read it different ways, like just this thing was absolutely so awesome. And I could see this issue being like the number one issue, like of me going back the most and like just digging through this thing and just like seeing what's going on, reading it different ways, and it's.
I agree. I was left with more questions.
I thought we'd have to wait until Rogue Sun to choose her own adventure, but you can read this comic a couple different ways, at least two that I thought of.
Yeah,
the regular way,
you're right.
and then read it through in a linear fashion. really cool. The way it changes the way you think about storytelling and stuff like that. That's really effective writing, and that's why I'm attracted to Kyle Higgins' style so much of it. It's just like, like he takes stuff and just it's like what he's done in 20. It's not even at issue 20, and they've done like more than I can count on one hand in ways to innovate issue in storytelling. It's mind blowing.
He's got two superheroes, one to deal with the cosmic and one to deal with the Earth. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I wanted to ask you guys, how did you guys initially read it the first time? Did you read it timeline, like each
I read it all like just like a normal book. I read it, timeline by timeline. So going down.
So you read page by page, like you just flipped the page, you read up to down,
really?
not left to right.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, no, I read it differently. I read it like 80, 89, and 2002, 2020, and 38?
Yeah.
38.
Yeah, 84. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I did at first. Like initially, like it first comes up and we see like the 4 timelines. Like I kind of just split it down. Like first one having the kid, 2002 kind of firing the people, 2020 they kind of just the downfall and getting the radiant, and then we get that awesome post cataclysm war kind of thing we'll talk more about. But at first I was reading this digitally actually, and because it doesn't give you the double page spread right in your face, I was reading it page to page. And then I kind of like after page 5 I was just kind of like, okay, I actually went back and restarted it linearly just to completely understand the story linearly, and then kind of dig around other ways and go through it like that.
Works both ways. My second read through, I read it like Bash said, like page by page instead of timeline by timeline, and it works both ways. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I did the opposite, but yeah.
Yeah, it's still pretty cool. Like for reading it again, and then you see the themes go from year to year more clearly when you read it page by page rather than each timeline on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the best way to do it. Like reading it like a regular comic, I think like you can it's harder to get, like you can get disjointed in the timelines pretty easily, but you can get more of a concrete view of like, okay, this timeline's this, this timeline's this, other than the 4th timeline in the future, which kind of stands out on its own. It's like its own different beast. But yeah, I read it left to right the first time.
Yeah. And
I can't wait to do that when it's just all spread out in front of us. Like it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. And just the last thing on the checklist is the double announcement. So the first one is that Kyle Higgins had the first episode, or hosted the first episode of Black Market Live, which is the Black Market narrative, basically live segment. Yeah, it was yesterday. If you missed it, don't worry, it's on YouTube. So just go to Black Market Narratives YouTube channel and you'll see it there. So it was a really good time. I feel like if you're really well versed with the Massiverse, like if you're one of the people who's on the Radiant Black Discord and you're up to date with the stuff there, like I don't feel like you really missed out on anything. They did have 1 or 2 things that were new, but it was really good for it was, especially in my opinion, good for newer people or even just general audiences who are kind of interested but not like super invested into this universe yet. I enjoyed it. I had a great time. I saw a lot of people, familiar faces and some unfamiliar faces. I saw Chris from Comic Tropes, which was awesome. And just a good time. I know one thing that was announced from it that got, I think, all of us excited, and we already knew about this from the conventions, but just formally announced, now it's out there everywhere. There's the RB soft vinyl figure, right, in the works, so that's going to come out soon. And Kyle Higgins said that he does have an action. He's an action. He loves action figures, and they do want to eventually do like a proper action figure, but they're just waiting for the right situation, the right context, the right everything. So yeah,
I think they're waiting for Paramount to put out the movie to really finish the models, right? But yeah,
Let's
for those
hope.
that don't know, there's an upcoming Paramount property that looks closer to Radiant Black than Best Buy.
It's
is
actually
that
already out.
Wilson?
Owen Wilson, right?
Oh
Yeah,
shit! Yeah. I totally.
That was
went over
terrible.
my head. That went over my head.
Yeah,
but
Bash sent this to us.
That was pretty funny.
It looks way too much like Radiant Black. If it is a coincidence, it's a pretty crazy freaking coincidence.
It's a lot of no's in my opinion.
Yeah, the trailer is just pretty tough, but whatever.
Anyway, let's dive into the issue, Radiant Black number 18. So let's go through the creatives this issue. We've got Kyle Higgins co-writing with Lawrence Holmes, and Lawrence Holmes, he's a figure from sports and social media, and all that. So people are quite familiar with him from in the Chicago scene, the Chicago area. So it's kind of a big deal, I guess, for some people. I know some people, some ODPH podcasts and everything said they were really excited, looking forward to this. So that's awesome. Art by
Yeah,
Stefano
I love
Simeone.
that video he posted. Sorry, real
Oh,
quick,
no, no.
Lawrence. He
Yeah, man,
seemed like
he was
really,
excited.
really excited. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like he's a comic book nerd. He's telling me like, oh, I read like Green Lantern, Justice League, Marvel, and then
yeah,
other Marvel
yeah,
shows. Oh
yeah.
yeah, my
Really seemed.
guy, one of us,
Yeah, that was
.
cool.
Yeah, art by Stefano Simeone, who killed it, like absolutely just destroyed it. This issue, unbelievable stuff. And letters by Becca Carey, of course, editing and designing by Michael Basuto. So let's get into this issue. Yeah, we're not gonna go into each timeline because this is one of those issues where honestly you really have to read it. So spoiler warning now. We're gonna spoil the fuck out of this issue in a few seconds. So yeah. Anyway, immediately right we get the first page with the four different timelines. We got 1984, 2002, 2020, 2038. There's 18 years between each timeline, and immediately we got the borders getting thinner between each timelines, which is a nice little effect done there by Stefano, I think. Um, well, yeah, what do you guys think? Just the impact overall of this first page already. You know it's going to be like a big issue.
The panel that stands out the most to me is obviously the 38 one, 2038, because it's just like there's nothing. It's decrepit. Immediately, I thought he was homeless. At that point, which I guess he is, but there's a lot bigger problems than homelessness at this point in time.
Yeah, the use of negative space is really interesting. It really allows you to fill in and speculate what you think this world is going to be. Like we don't see a lot. We do see more backgrounds going forward, but this is like it's white, it's empty, and like there's a lot more darkness. You see a little bit of light coming through, and then there's all this kind of light, and he's just kind of like looking away. It's obviously that is the most standout area, and that was what I was most interested in 2038 or whatever. But yeah, I just thought it was a really unique take, and I love what they did with the future.
I like it. Reminds me of Oblivion song, like Lorenzo Di
Yeah,
Filippi's
yeah,
art.
yeah.
There's like
That's a good shout out. Yeah, I didn't
I
think.
just really really
That's what I
like
was
that.
thinking of. The whole time I read
Yeah,
it, I was thinking Oblivion Song. And the panel structure reminds me of Somebody's Killing the Children, how they'd have all those pages that were
yeah,
spread at the panels.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, and I think this is a page we saw quite a bit back, right? Like this was the preview page. I don't know when we
Yes.
first saw this,
Yeah,
but like right away, it sets the tone. Like off the first page, it's no spoilers. You know his life's gonna go to shit from 19. Like you know what I mean? Like from timeline, you know it's just gonna get worse, and it's just like. But just the way how it gets there and the way it goes through, there's so many questions like that are brought up that I still have, and yeah, like I just love the way this first page really sets the tone.
yeah,
I love how it contextualizes his relationship with Eva too. How it's like he has the daughter, and the relationship doesn't usually work out that well. So he's got that soft spot, and maybe in the way him giving her the radiant is probably just like like this is what I would have liked, for my daughter to have or something like that. Or just kind
yeah.
of like a nice thing, like a fatherly bond.
Yeah.
Before we dive too deep into this issue, I just want to announce some big news actually for the Radiant Black podcast. We recently got a Patreon, so if you want to be one of the awesome nerds that supports the podcast on the most extreme level, then you could do that. So you could do that at patreon.com/Radiant Black Podcast, and it's actually very cheap. I think it's like $2 for the normal uh subscription, and then for the extra nerdy one, I think that's I put nerd or something in the in the description, so that's what you see. I think it's like $4, so the price of like a comic book, for example.
And that's how
And
you find out with like the $2 or $4 that you're a nerd. I'm sorry you had to find
yeah,
out that way. But if you're listening to this podcast, I mean, if I'm on this
mm,
podcast, I've accepted that I'm a nerd, and the sooner you guys all do. No, but yeah,
mm,
Patreon, it's the best way to support the podcast and to really, it's like $2 or whatever you have to spare. It really shows us that there's interest in the podcast
mm.
and helps cover costs to produce this and improve equipment and really just give you a better product and show you that there's an interest in it. And it'd be amazing if you did. And if you didn't, likes and retweets and everything like that goes a long way as well. And we love every
Yeah.
every show of support. It
Yeah.
means the world to us.
And if you,
Yeah.
yeah, if you don't have to, obviously, we don't expect anything, but if anyone wants to be, that's up to you. But one thing we do offer our Patreon members is that they'll get access to our episodes earlier, and we're actually going to have special giveaways and certain episodes that are for Patreon only. So, yeah, so there's that to look forward to. Some of them are going to be extra special, and we're even going to have obviously milestones where we're gonna let patrons decide what they want to do or what they want to do for the content and who they want to come on the podcast for certain episodes. I'm excited for that. And yeah, we're also on TikTok, and that's where I remember the page or talk about the preview page because that was one of the posts for the TikTok. I used one of the pages for the first post, which was there's actually a surprising amount of interaction on TikTok, especially with Radiant Black and Amazing Nick Enger, who we had on the last few episodes. He's quite a presence on TikTok, so it's awesome to see him stewarding Radiant Black basically. And then now other people are beginning to really enjoy, like Comic Book who I just saw who just discovered it like yesterday, 2 days ago, and been talking about how good it is. So yeah, just check it out.
Those are some of my favorite tweets on when I go on Twitter, when I just see people reading through Radiant Black for the first time, and you see like their reaction and excitement progress from issue to issue. It's just some of the best shit on there, to be honest, in my opinion.
No, I agree.
Everyone always says, like, check out the animation. Like, it's just like, man, like, let them just get there naturally, and if not, then you gotta let them check out the animation.
If they're already on the line, don't spoil don't spoil it. Like, for me, it's such a great way to show your friend, like, look, this is legit. Like, look at this. This is sweet. It's quippy, but also it's like, just read the first issue. The Power Zone. I was trying to get my roommate to read Radiant Black 1, and he read like all my comics except Radiant Black 1. I was kind of pissed. It's like, come on, it's good. You'll like it. But he read like JoJo's and stuff, like comics my friend lent me and stuff. Yeah. That's my gear to grind there.
So Radiant Black 18, I mean, the first timeline, 1984, that's the timeline we're going to see when his daughter is going to be born, Wendell's daughter. And, he's just getting settled in with the family. He's young and spry. Everything's, there's still hope. But then, in the 2002 timeline, we see that hope is beginning to fade because things are difficult. It's not exactly how he not only intends, but he hopes it would have been. He's finding it very difficult to balance a very demanding work life in terms of trying to reinvigorate his company or rejuvenate. Yeah, the company, Hirsch, which he works at. That's what it's called. And it's like an energy company or a technology company. And they're trying to pull out. They're basically struggling big time, and he's like the big hire. We find out here he's got a PhD. He's very educated, and just going off these first few pages, because it'll be very hard, not to do it by timeline. But what do you guys think? Like, obviously, there's a distinction between what's going on between each timeline, but overall, the first few pages, just seeing his transition from, the hopeful youth to almost like bitter reality of an old man, even to the point where like the guy comes with a donut shop. Like, what are you guys' thoughts here?
You can definitely see the hope, like you said, become less and less. It becomes more bleak, and you can even see
it fades from his hair. Yeah, literally.
Yes. But no, the colors even get darker as you go down each timeline, especially the 2020 timeline, and then as the comic goes, it kind of changes a little bit, but I'll get to that when we reach it eventually.
But it's interesting, like he's a genius. Like he was like the golden boy
pretty smart.
Company.
Yeah. What one question I did have for you guys right off the bat is on the first or the second page, right when you flip that first panel, when the wife, what was the wife's name?
Is it Zandra? One of them Zandra.
Zandra. I think that is right. But Zandra, she basically starts there and she comes over and she says 9 months ago, Mr. George. So I'm assuming, is that Wendell's last name?
Oh yeah.
So then later they mention this is Mr. Hirsch's son, Jack.
Hirsch is the owner of the mill.
The company
that he works at. Yeah.
Okay, but this is Mr. Hirsch's son. Was he introducing him to the other guy as Mr. Hirsch's son, or the guy with the ginger hair was Mr. Hirsch's son?
No, I had to reread that a couple times. It's a little confusing the way it's written, but I'm pretty sure he's introducing Jack, which is Mr. Hirsch's son. Who's the owner of the mill.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's safe to assume Wendell's last name is
it's George. No,
they say in the description, 100%. Like the synopsis, I think, for the issue or something.
Okay. Yeah. It's George. Yeah.
Okay,
That's
yeah,
right. He's
yeah,
from
okay,
Purdue as well, right? So he's like the golden boy of this company. But
yeah.
you almost see the realities, like, quickly you see them between each timeline. 'Cause you got 18 years in between each panel, right? Or in between each sequence of panels, and it just I gotta say, like, I've got I've got many questions. I think this issue leaves us with way more questions than I was hoping, but in a lot of ways it's a good thing because I'm more invested, and I'm honestly I know a lot more about Wendell. But my first question is, I wonder where his daughter is in the present, like, timeline, because we've seen she has a kid, she has and they were doing that, like, one Skype session where she's in the background, she asks about him. So I wonder, like, if the relationship, it seems like, between him and his family is still tense. Like, he's he might be like an unreliable sort of, uh, like, radiant yellow right now, because while he does have all his, his powers and everything, by the end it's like he does go back, right? We see he does go back to where we are in the present time, like, almost like this is what could happen. So it's like if he's operating on the notion of what could possibly happen, right? Based on, obviously what has happened so far, I think that could be very misleading. I'm just saying.
No, you're onto something. It's very hard with the Tommy Wimey stuff. It was bad enough a couple issues ago, but like this gets this is a whole other level of it. And I like how we're staying like legally distinct from Best Buy. Like if you look, we didn't do the letters, we just did the black lines, we just did the outline. That's like three dash dash whatever. Like that's not Best Buy. Because we asked Michael when he was on the podcast with us, and he was saying it's like, well, he just keeps legally distinct. Like they could, if they're worried, they could have changed it to Good Purchase, which is something I think back on all the time. Good Purchase is such a good name. But no, I like it. And the same with the Beanie Baby, where the tag does not even look like remotely the same, because like they don't need a lawsuit right now. Although, I mean, when we're selling those Infinite issues, that should be enough to cover a lawsuit and take Best Buy down once and for all. Really, no, I'm just kidding. But no, I like that, and it's kind of interesting the relationship that Wendell has with robots, right? Because he helped the robots against himself, and now, like, of course, he's got a robot of his own that actually might want to help him, which I think is a nice little theme there, a nice some symmetry of the pendulum swinging back.
That's actually an amazing observation, and not only another one, but, like, another one is, like, we have this parallel of, or maybe I'm just making it up, but the whole time you're seeing that his workers, or sorry, the employees at Hirsch Company are getting fired, and he's actually one of the reasons for it. He's the one that they choose to start laying them off, which is tough on
Yeah.
him already, right? Like, it's tough for so many reasons. So he has to lay off all these people that he's getting to know, while also trying to build connections at this new company and trying to, like, change the things for the better. Also, at the same time, you notice that at the end of the issue, as we continue through that timeline, while the employees are getting less and less, at the end of the issue, you're seeing that there's less and less humans on Earth, and he has to go to the robot for help. Which is ironic because, yeah, at the same time that, yeah, the other guy comes back to him, one of the guys who he fight, but he's telling him, like, oh, like you said, like, oh, like, something about obsolete. I forget the line, but it's like, yeah, the guy who made the robot has finally become obsolete or something like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's interesting. It makes you think, and it's just like, what if, like, if on a grand scale, just going back on what Nick said on one of the 2 episodes ago, like, what if he's the one, like, if his technology is what led to the building of these radiants? I'm just going real crazy here. Like, what if that's the case? But I mean, it's not likely
I do
given that
I
they're
I do like
cosmic,
that.
right?
Like we do see he is very technologically sound. Like he's very, like, he's got a PhD, he's got all this stuff. What I love, like, honestly, this whole issue kind of gave me vibes of, and I'm not completely done the series yet, and a series that Kyle just finished is Better Call Saul. Just the way
Mm-hmm.
Saul like Jimmy's trying to do like he always tries to do the right thing, but it just leads him down to this gutter, where obviously I haven't seen the rest, so I'll see where it goes, but it just, like, it very just relates with him. Like he's just trying to do the right thing. He moved his family all the way out to get this new job, and they faked him out instead of the operations manager. Instead, they're gonna have him operating assistant, so obviously that's gonna make a lot less. But he has this great idea that makes them a lot of money, but then it leads him down the road to firing a bunch of people and kind of getting upset that way. So it's just kind of, he just can't win right now.
And he's
He's a
never there for his daughter. Right.
Yeah.
True. Just like Last Flight Out, very similar to that. But
Yeah.
it's funny, he doesn't assimilate well, to use a robotic term. Like he can't be absorbed by the system. He kind of wants to improve it and stuff like that, and he does. He makes changes to it that are detrimental to him. Because that's the thing about a business. A business is like a big organism, and it doesn't always care about every single cell. And sometimes cells die
100%.
off for the greater being, and that's what happened with Wendell.
100%.
Right, so there's elements of that too. I think this is genius storytelling, because even the Best by itself is a kind of like an archaic store that they're still around, but they're not really part of the discussion. They're just kind of like lingering around. You're like, okay, whatever, are you gonna fade off? And also, how awesome are we? Well, not awesome are we, but like how great. We've gone 22 minutes ish, 24 5 minutes maybe, and we haven't even mentioned Ori, who could easily,
Yeah.
like that's a
I was waiting for it, yeah. And some people said they didn't even catch it on the first read, and I knew right away. Like literally, the moment I looked at the character, I'm like, this is someone we know, like
I
already.
think they
And
only
then-
said her name
yeah.
once.
Yeah, he said it
Ori
once. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and I knew there was a connection because they said that Ornette in the next issue is a timeline manipulator. So I was thinking maybe that's where this connection comes from. Like we'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'm way off, but that would be cool if that was.
Sounds like some connective tissue that sounds likely to happen. I wasn't sure it was Ori. I'm like, yeah, we know this person, but when they say Ori, that's such a distinct name. Like, what other comic character is named Ori? I don't know. Maybe in some.
It just looks like her too.
Yeah.
It's
that's
exactly
true.
looks exactly like her. Like it's her
my
with shorter hair.
Yeah, my only hang up is she doesn't look much older than she does in the present, but maybe
That's a
that's
good point.
Because she's supposed to be like a teenager in the present. So
Well,
Yeah,
that's
she's
why.
about like in her mid 30s now, right?
Yeah,
So
she-
she-
yeah, but
yeah,
it's-
time
if
travel?
it's 18, yeah, she's supposed
Yeah.
to be a
32?
lot, like
She'd
I
be
don't know.
like she'd be
Yeah.
like 35 to 40 there. So
Maybe
yeah,
it's
I
just
feel
a
like it
different
looks.
style in art, or maybe okay, yeah, you're right.
I-
But no, I definitely that was really cool, and I think it would almost kind of be a too small of world if you just had two Aries.
Yeah.
But you never know. I don't know.
Well, what if she can time travel too? Like, what if this is purposely? What if she doesn't look
Yeah.
that old
Oh,
because
okay.
like she
I like-
has? I mean, magic is a thing. We might have magic and space tech going on together, and like science can't explain it. So technically, radiants are magic, realistically, but maybe it could. But I'm not a science guy. But we don't know. That could be an element. Like you don't think like Ryan and Pear. Like why don't we do the most Ryan and Pear? Kyle and Ryan aren't coming up with the craziest time stuff ever. Maybe they're pulling time heists. They're watching basketball games. Like, hey, what if we did this? Like, get out of here. You're fucked. And then they do it like a month later, or like 6 months later. I wouldn't put anything past these guys. Like, don't expect too much, but who knows what they're pulling off.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I found interesting is that she doesn't appear to be using too much magic, but she gets this like radiant style mask that looks a lot like 001's mask.
And they mentioned 001 right
They
when
do.
they encounter that
Yeah.
being, and the
That
next
was
one
big.
says,
That was
"Yeah,
big.
it's big." First of all, this being looks cool, and I want to know like, what is this? Some like sort of like Last of Us type of like future apocalyptic shit kind of sort of. But he says, "Hey kiddos, you wouldn't happen to be the couple of 001% who blew up half of Kenosha, would you? Because boy, we've been murdering to meet you." So, what?
we see the
what?
robots from space too.
Yeah.
I forgot what issue it was, but they're there too.
It's 7.
It's all connected somehow.
Yep. So I'm honest. I need more context. I can't really make a full decision based on what's going on here right now because there's just too many things happening at once. But
Yeah.
I was very
Big-
intrigued here.
Big implications for 001 though. It kind of shows
yeah.
maybe he's a leader of the rebellion here or something. But I know we were a little suspicious of him at first, or I was anyways. But yeah, no, it's nice to see his name in there again. And also leads. Also, I want to say also maybe could lead more to that. I think Matt was saying issue 24, that 001 origin. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we talked about
yeah.
that. That'd be cool. Like, I still don't know. Like, last issue, like the discussion we had about Dead Lucky and stuff. Like, I think that a lot came from that. Of me thinking like Marshall's origins. Like, could he be Morrow? And then getting origins in issue 24. Who knows who we're gonna get? And I'm excited. I don't even know. We might be entirely cold on who it could be, Marshall or 001. Who knows? Maybe it could be the origins of the Radiants themselves, like how it actually happened. We actually get to see them like come to Earth, like Din Nehru Ferrari style, Ocarina of Time shit. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
Like the future, we don't know what book this is. I don't even know. I could have been reading in Braille the whole time, and who knows? I tried to make that work. It was too much. Anyways, but yeah.
Okay, we got your point. Though.
Yeah, and I love the difference in art and like the way it's laid out, like that panel of Yellow when he's in the apocalypse, just like laid out. Like there's a lot where he's laid out looking like shit, but there's one where it's like shit went down. Like you don't know, but it's like this is the timeline we don't want to spend too much time, and we're trying to prevent this shit. Like it's hell. You have Ori, who knows? The Seagulls could be dead. Dylan could be off doing Captain Marvel shit in space for all we know.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird how he keeps on like encountering, I don't know, like these people who get powers, I guess. Like, I mean, with Eva, I guess he was the catalyst for that. But man, I just want to say, like, Stefano killed it this issue. Like, the expressions, you really feel his pain in almost every single
Absolutely.
timeline. So man, you fucking you multiplied my emotions exponentially times 4 this issue because I was feeling it like so much every time reading this issue. It hit like 4 times harder because there's 4 timelines, and every single one of them is emotional. Like they're all tough. They're all like Wendell has it tough, man. I'm surprised that he's still trying to keep it together. But it also makes me think like, is there more like sinister, and not necessarily with intent. Like like the road to hell is paved with good intention kind of thing. Maybe he is genuinely trying to like fix the timeline in his point of view, but also like when we see last issue and he was just like surprised that Marshall was alive, it's just like makes you think, you know what I mean? Like if he went in there knowing like someone was gonna die and then is like kind of upset that he didn't, it makes you think like if he's almost like he has that like the end of the
Like,
issue gives you the vibe
and
of
and
last issue.
justifies the means. Like,
Yeah, like
yeah.
maybe I should, find a way to correct the error, like
Would you
some
kill baby
Kang
Hitler?
shit.
Would you let young
Yeah,
adult Marshall die in a basketball
Hmm.
court? Those kind of things. But yeah, no, it's
yeah,
true. And like he doesn't want to, but some things it's like the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Like, or it's my family. Like a lot of people, they'll lie to you and tell you like, I don't know, if it's like your family or like a billion lives, most people are gonna pick their family. That's reality. Like unfortunately, it sounds fucked up, but the people and like losing that, like I don't know, you'd have to have a lot of people would pick their family over everything else. And if you can go back in
Yeah.
time, you have to kill one person, even though they seem like an okay kid, you consider it at the very least.
Yeah. Yeah, what one actually small comparison I wanted to make to that, and small spoilers to a power bomb coming out, like that really reminds me of just like them at the tournament, I forget the main character's name, but she's there just to get her mom back, right? And there's these people here that are trying to get these civilizations back and resurrect their whole planets, but like obviously, yeah, you're gonna do what's right, and obviously it's not the exact same situation, but you're always gonna do what's right for your family most of the
That was a
situations.
powerbomb comparison. That's a good point. And yeah, that's great. Powerbomb, you have two orangutans just fighting for their sibling or whatever, or you have people fighting for dominations of a kingdom. Do a powerbomb is the shit, by the way. Like
yeah.
if you ever
Great,
listen to anything I say,
great.
read a powerbomb. Read the hell of it. It's amazing.
So
We're going up the reservation.
yeah, it was we see that in the next few pages that Wendell, when he was younger, really just wanted to modernize, and he wanted the company to modernize, embrace more technology, and he wanted to be the person to help. But like Matt said, he was having trouble understanding the business end of it, and they were almost like putting him in his place, telling him to like just do the tech stuff. But then we see with his kid, it's much of the same. Like he shows up to a birthday party where Sandra's asking him where's the cake, and they never talked about a cake, and they just start fighting, and it gets really ugly, and it's in front of his daughter and her friends, and it's just horrible. Like Aziza just blows up on them, and that's his daughter. She's not happy about the situation. So we see that his relationship is getting worse with his family because he's not present. His relationship with his work is getting worse because he's just not he's not fully qualified to do the business stuff, and almost making things worse at the tech stuff end of it because while he is, like you guys said, embracing tech, he's making the people obsolete. So the guy, in the real time also it's not so much better because even the guy comes back to him, and though he gives him some decent advice, it kind of I guess the reality check of like, oh, that donut guy, the guy told him to go like shove a donut in his ass or whatever, and now has a donut shop, like like some poetic justice right there. But I want to say the future timeline where we to 2038 timeline where we see Ori and Wendell get into their bikes and race away. But later on in the issue, towards the end, we see it, in the issue where there's multiple visions, the past and future. We see there's like 3 riders in the background of one of the images, and I just thought that was very interesting. We'll touch upon that later. But yeah, like, relationships falling apart with the family. We get that. But what the hell is going on in this future timeline? Do you guys think like the Catalyst War is over, Earth is lost, and the robots have taken over? Because we see like robots chasing them down. We see like even the I'm not even sure if that was like a half robot, half person. It was the person, but person from earlier who was threatening them. So it's like, what's going on? But right before I ask you, perfect time for a question is he encounters what we've all been speculating on, a yellow robot. So there is in fact a yellow robot, and I think it's safe to say at this point there's a pink robot, but we'll know for sure later. But I think it's safe to say. So there's a yellow robot. He gives him this freaking glowing, radiant looking thing, and he shoves it into the robot, and it powers the robot up. And the robot's surprised to see Wendell, right? This robot's surprised to see Wendell. He's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how did you do all this? And he's like, Wendell tells him, I've done the impossible. I brought you back, and I want you to fix everything. So what's going on here?
It's a little weird to me because this is, I guess, the second time we see the robot physically outside of existence on Earth. The only other time I can think of is during Supermassive.
He doesn't say welcome to existence. Did you notice that?
He doesn't, because he's not.
Yeah.
He's not. He's on Earth. He's not in existence. And
He's
like,
in
it seems like he's depowered or dead or whatever. But whatever that little like radiant energy that he put into him, that seems to be like his soul or battery or whatever you want to call it.
His fuel cell, I think they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that, and just this whole post-apocalyptic timeline, this freaking art was amazing. Like that one scene where they were all battling through that little gang of thugs there. That was freaking that was unreal. But one thing I was curious about was you actually in that page where you see them fighting, you see one of the villains like face is there, like with the red eyes, almost look a little humanoid there.
Yep.
So that just makes me curious, like if it's like a actual person taking over, maybe it could be another alien race. We still have no idea. But yeah, it's interesting.
I love that line from the robot. We are products of our decisions. It's so good because like he's on a production line. They're making products, and we are products of our decisions, and that's why this is Wendell's thing. Like, he's got the most regrets. He's the oldest Radiant. He's made the most mistakes. He can pinpoint these moments that if he did something different, he could maybe change it, and maybe not all of it actually has an effect. But maybe he's only doing it the stuff that would save the world, not necessarily his family. And he might have to do stuff he would never do. But that's a hell of a burden. It's like Doctor Strange and stuff like that. Like heavy, where heavy is the king, heavy is the crown. Something like that. Like it's a big decision. No one else has to make this stuff. And even Marshall and Nathan have their own decisions of like sharing this Radiant and stuff like that. Like it's really cool. Like we could have Wendell coming to kill Marshall, and it would be entirely justified. And on both ends.
Not only that, but it's also interesting that Ori, like you guys said earlier in the panel where she's fighting the robot, she has some like armor on, like it comes on, so maybe she has also powers, or maybe she's using 001 technology that's like, that they bootlegged in the future. But whatever the case is, the destructive backgrounds in terms of the 2038 future, like you see that there's a lot of destruction. You see that it's almost like a war-torn Earth. And it's hard to tell exactly where. I mean, they are in Chicago because we see earlier that they passed the Chicago Skyway or whatever. So we know that they're still in Chicago there. I'm just curious as to whether, like, here he shows him in the next page. We get one of the most gorgeous pages of the entire issue where they're going through all the timelines, and the robot tells him, "Our connection is final, permanent for the duration of your life. You are part of existence. Loves, regrets, hates, mistakes. Nothing can be taken back." And he says we are products of our decisions, so you know what to do. And that's where he gets flashback right at the end. But I'll let you see those 3 riders again on his body in the future timeline. So we gotta figure out who those riders are. But he flashes back into the Radio Shack. I mean, the Closer Radio Renovations store. And that's where you see that he's almost influenced. He says, I have to fix this. And it's interesting to me because is that before he encounters Marshall for the first time? Is that after? It's not particularly clear, but I think the case either way it remains the same, because I think that's the point where he realized he has to do something about the timeline because it's going to lead to the destruction of Earth, a catalyst to war. I'm just curious, what in particular makes him think that Marshall is responsible for the catalyst to war? Because we didn't get any hints here.
Him going evil would be.
But when did Marshall go evil though?
Before he does eventually.
Oh, right, because I guess he'll see that. Yeah, I guess he'll see that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would take everything any of the Radiant robots say with a grain of salt, because the longer we read Radiant Black, the more the robots get confused, right? Like there have been more than one occasion, even here, when the
programmed?
robots get revived, he's confused, like how, or like the activation online, this shouldn't be happening. And Marshall's robot was confused too when he went into existence and saved Nathan. So there's they're not as all knowing or all powerful as they appear to be. And
No.
I'm not sure that, because the robot seems to believe.
I mean,
it
the
seems to
fact
tell
that he's
Wendell.
dead, the fact that he had to get Wendell to bring him back, right? And he's
Exactly,
saying you did the
exactly.
impossible. That just shows
Yeah.
us that even the Catalyst War is so grave in terms of scope and circumstance that even the robot himself died and is like questioning how Wendell was able to
Well,
do
Maybe
it.
so
there's
this is my question to you guys. Do you think the last timeline is the result of Catalyst War? Because this is 18 years later, and
Yeah,
Catalyst War is
Yeah,
supposed to happen in a few
that's
months.
the way
yeah.
I took it. The only thing I don't know, like, does Wendell know, like, has he been through the events of all the issues we've been up till this point? Like, does he know Marshall and the whole team? Are they dead at this point in time?
Yeah.
And he's kind of the last Radiant standing, or like yeah, definitely. I think that's the way I took it, but definitely a lot of questions. But I just love how this entire issue, like, he's always looking at the future and always looking forward at
He's
things and
not
not
living
being
in the
able.
moment.
Yeah, he's not being able to
good
stay in the
point.
present, and I have this problem all the time at school when you have 10 assignments you need to do, but you're in class. You have to try to stay present to focus on what you're learning now. But if you're focusing on your 10 assignments in the future, you won't absorb what the important shit in the class, right? So that shit really, yeah, no, I just love that, how he's always just focusing on forward, and now he kind of, it looks like he gets the chance to look back a little now, and it's gonna be interesting to see where he goes.
Yeah.
Do you guys think when he grabbed the yellow radiant at the donut shop and he had all these visions, do you guys think that his past selves also had those visions? Does
Man,
that
I
make
just
sense?
want to know where the Radiants came from. Like, why are they in that store? I'm telling you, there's
Yeah,
so many
yeah.
questions. The more
It
you
didn't
read
look like they
this, there's more
crashed. It
questions.
looks like they just
They're
showed
just
up.
there,
Yeah,
dude. It's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
it's like like you just pick like like a menu. Like here's a
It's so
Radiant.
obvious.
Like,
Donuts are missing holes, and these are black holes. That's the first place I'd look. It's like hiding Luke on Tatooine. It's ridiculous. But no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, but I think I made a similar joke last time. It's true. Also, did he give Eva? Is this a timeline where he gave Eva
wait,
the
wait, wait.
pink
I just
radiant, or
realized
Yeah,
what he
something.
it's
didn't?
one of the panels.
I just
No,
realized
what if he
something.
didn't though? Is that what he saw? Was that a future for him? Is giving her the panel?
Yeah,
Or it didn't
that's what I
happen?
don't
Yep.
understand. Like,
Yeah.
I
No, but
assumed maybe
you got
if this is something here, you go ahead, Bash.
no. I mean, I was just gonna say, do you guys think that panel in the page where we see all the timelines where he's holding the Radiant and you see all the past, the present, you see a close up and it says, "We are not more than our choices, Wendell," and then you see him looking up at the sky with the box in his hand. Do you think that's when he got the like what's happening there? Is that when he got like the Radiant, or is that when he found out his daughter was being born, maybe, and then Liger's
That's what makes me. To me, I took it as he's looking, because if you he's looking at like or
because
where
Michael said
the
they all
bubble
got the
is.
Radiant within days of each other. So it's like I want to
Yeah.
understand like what the fuck like, there's so many questions here. They're, like in a good way. Like I'm not upset or anything. This makes me more intrigued because like it actually shows you that the story I think is even deeper than we initially thought it was. Which Kyle says this is the part where I play the Kyle voice. So yeah, you don't even know what this book is yet. But yeah, so no, like there's just a lot going on, and this one just gave us so many more questions. Like A's like yeah, like how did the Radiant just show up into that? How did he get the Radiant? Why did he choose to give Eva the Radiant? Like I think Matt's definitely onto something
He
when
could have
it comes to
taken
like the daughter thing.
the pink radiant for all we know.
Exactly. Like that's
Yeah.
what
He had a
I want to
choice. They
see
were
that.
both right there in front of him. He could have easily. It was 50-50 chance.
yeah. So I wanted to know like why is he so convinced? Like if this is something that's new to him, if they truly got their powers within days of each other, and that means that he's not very like even though he might have a head start on attunement like attuning to his powers, there's no way that he's as like expert enough to like know for sure that this is going to be the reality, right? Because he even said when he was explaining his powers last issue that some things happen, some things don't, and the fact that Marshall didn't die is proof of that. So it's like this like I have so many questions because it's like this he's just operating almost half-assed at this point. Like I'm not saying he's stupid, that's not the case, but I'm
No.
saying it's almost like his misery is painting his decision making here, is influencing his decision making here because because his life is not going well, and he gets this cosmic power to almost like change his life, and I think that's a big factor here. It might not like necessarily be. It's really weird for him to almost decide to suddenly kill someone or change an entire timeline because of a future he saw because of a giant robot thing that he met days ago. That's what I'm saying.
When you're depressed, your neurons don't fire properly. Some connections in your brain aren't made, and you're not acting at full mental capacity at some points when you're depressed, or you think like shit. You think like you're miserable. He has nothing. He's by himself. He's got his family. Here's a little theory that I kind of thought of. What if there's a timeline where it was supposed to be his daughter that gets the radiant, and he didn't want to put her in danger, so he gave it to Eva instead, and so now he has to go back in time and switch that. So what if like Pink just like lost her power or something like that?
Oh,
I don't think it happened, but I don't think it would happen. But
I
it could
like
be wild.
that.
Yeah,
maybe.
sacrifice
What if the panel where he's talking to his daughter, where she's with his granddaughter, is that maybe where he sees the radiant for the first time? Because he closes the phone and there's a yellow glow behind him, and that is in the 2020.
Yes, I think
Good
so.
catch,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. So that might be like what the fuck? It just showed up behind him. I mean, don't
It's
get me
such
wrong. I'm not questioning. I'm just saying like there's a reason these things happen. So we have to take it with a grain of salt that if he's seeing all these things, whether it's valid or not, and whether there's actual weight to it or not, he's still like we have to actually question the fact that radiant was placed there by someone. No.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so, because it's such a random place. Like, he doesn't even work there, or at least up until 20, 30 minutes ago, he didn't even work there. He had no reason to go to his donut shop until he met Ted at Best Buy. And like you said, it didn't fall from the sky and like destroy the building or anything. It almost looks like it was just delicately and purposefully placed there for him specifically to come at this specific
Could have been
time
his
to find it.
could have been his future self, right? Coming back and trying to switch things up. Maybe he moved them,
Could have,
placed them
yeah.
there, some specific reason.
We've talked about fate and how a lot of personality traits seem to be connected to the powers that everyone has, right? Like Pink is like a streamer, wants to be everywhere at once or whatever, and she has that. Red has she's taken on a lot of bullshit, so she gets the ability to absorb that kind of stuff and use elements used against her as her best defenses. Marshall and Nathan it came to both of them at the bar when they were both together and stuff like that. So there could be elements of that. And I don't know if we're going to talk about like fate on top of like what was supposed to happen, timelines, you throw in destiny, and you got yourself an aneurysm on your way basically, because there's so many ways this could go. And I'm sure it's all charted out. But yeah, the future, we don't know what this book is. We have no idea what the timeline is right now. Like we need Dark Horse to give us
if this is a potential future, is any of this even valid? That's my question. So it's like this is very confusing. Is this a lived reality? Is this a reality he lived? Is it like a failed save where he like he died, game over, and now he's continue respawn? Like, you know what I'm saying? Is that what just happened? Or is this like a vision? Like, is this him like if having a vision of a future? You know what I mean?
I think it's the Darkest Timeline where they lost the Catalyst War. I think that's the most obvious answer. This is the Lost Catalyst War. This is the timeline where Ganon won and Link failed, basically.
Yeah.
But no Ocarina of Time turns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a great point. And no, overall, I think this was an incredible issue. I just like amazing comic book writing debut from Lawrence Holmes. This was a highly anticipated issue, and they killed it. They really did, and they even gave us a little bit of something. And we already knew about this because we talked about this after C2E2, where they did this thing for C2E2 in the Enter Existence, and you could do the little optional thing, and you pick you get a radiant basically. You're like, oh, use this radiant. So I was happy that they put it in this issue with the QR code, a little bonus, something that a lot of people enjoyed, and I saw a lot of people talk about on social media. What radiant did you guys get? I got pink.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Pink.
Oh, that is cool.
The first time I did it, I got black, but I saw some people in Discord say they only got Marshall, but when I got it, it said Nathan, Marshall.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's.
But I got it as well. It was cool seeing some of the explanations, like on some of them, like that. The yellow one had some pretty cool text under there. I forget what it said, but that the whole just interface was pretty cool and fun to go through for sure.
Michael Basuto, I'm pretty sure, did that. I'm like 100%.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, the website he made.
Because at the end it said that thing where if you show this to the Invincible podcast guys, they'll give you a poster. But that was a remnant from C2E2.
Yeah. So
I tried.
I got pink.
You got pink too?
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
I tried redoing it multiple times to try to get pink. Like I think I got black, red, and then yellow, and I did it 3 more times and I could not get pink.
Yeah. I just want to say, and we already talked about this in last episode, so if you want to hear about this more, check out our Radiant Black number 17 discussion. So we're not going to go into detail, but I loved the letter section for this issue. I loved the letter that Michael wrote summarizing C2E2 and SDCC and basically his whole American con circuit. But Lockport Party, there are some amazing pictures. They showed pictures of the image wall at the convention. They showed at San Diego Comic-Con. They showed pictures of the Lockport party where they had the entire Blacklight issue on the walls, and it looked amazing. They showed the pictures with the cutouts. Just this is the kind of thing that you just don't
That
get.
show was awesome with the
Yeah,
whole team there, the helmet there. That picture's awesome. Man.
you don't get that in comics. These it's like it's hard to find this kind of interaction and this kind of stuff in comics. And I was just like, I don't know. This issue was truly like, and I'm trying to say this without being biased, but of course I'm biased because we're on the Reading Black podcast. But this issue was already a 10 out of 10 for me, but this made it like a cemented the 10 out of 10 even more because it's just perfect. You get to like even if you weren't able to attend, this is just a great way to feel like you're a part of it.
I don't know, only 15 pages, -5 stars from me. How could you justify? No, obviously it was 15 pages because it was like action packed, telling like 4 stories in one, and your mind was melted before you could even count the pages. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
That's something I
didn't even notice that, to be honest.
Yeah,
Didn't even
exactly.
notice that.
Completely justified. And plus they filled it with more and they gave you like a bonus little like personality BuzzFeed quiz at the end or whatever. Just kidding. I would never tarnish the name of Radiant Black BuzzFeed. But it's amazing. You know, like 15 we're gonna remember this for a while, and it's the densest issue that took me the longest to read of any Radiant Black issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, like for me, and like I'm not exaggerating, one of the most rereadable issues I've ever read of any comic from any company.
Oh,
Honestly,
I
like
agree.
not even just how the story is presented and the way the story's told, going through it linearly, just the way different ways you can read it, like different ways you can go through it. Like just one example, like just noticing like when Wendell Wright has the baby, like he's holding the baby, he says, but I promise you, I'll always be there for you to fix it, you and your mom. And you go down to the next panel 18 years later, and he's trying to fix the divorce, and the daughter says not everything can be fixed. And just the way the pages mesh together, just everything was just fucking genius.
Yeah.
Honest.
And I just want to say one thing I didn't notice, but I just noticed now on the first page, and you notice this in multiple pages in the first timeline, 1984, where he's always looking up like he's hopeful. He's looking up like he's hopeful to the world. He still thinks he can change it. But if you look at 2038, he's always
Yeah, I like
looking
that.
down.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good fucking
Like
call.
he's just like he's even like his hope is completely demolished. Like he has no like I mean it shows from his hair being completely. I mean he's not just old. Like that's literally his life force is almost sucked up because he just looks like he's
Yeah.
withering. Yeah, but fantastic issue truly. I picked up the 125 by Tom Whalen, which is another amazing cover
Oh.
that I know. Yeah, everybody is trying to get those Tom Whalens, right? Like we want that Tom Whalen like Radiant Black /
Oh,
Master
yeah,
First
yeah.
Wall. Yeah, so get on those people. But I just want to say one thing that I think will excite everybody. So you guys know those amazing Carlini variants for Massiverse? You know the
Since
the
like
ones where
issue
I'm
10.
yeah, and I made the Blacklight one, and they did the one for Rogue Sun, and
Oh,
one for
yeah.
Dead Lucky number one. Yeah, so someone tweeted today they had all three of them CGC'd with the signatures and everything, really cool. And they tagged Matt Groom and said, "Pretty cool set right here. Would love to add an Inferno Goal to it." And then Matt Groom said, "Well, it'd be a shame to leave the set incomplete. Dot dot dot." I told you guys. I told you guys. They gotta do it. They gotta give us the Carlini. I want to say, I don't know if you guys seen that tweet where we did the where we all tweeted the Radiant Black with the. I basically replaced the Thanos meme with a gauntlet and put the these as the
Yeah.
gems.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So check that out if you haven't seen it. It's pretty hilarious. But yeah, I think that's everything. Anyone else got any other comments for this issue?
I do want to say, Simone, the way that they portrayed facial expressions like despair and sadness, it really portrayed like that's where I got the Lorenzo vibes and stuff like that from like the distinct Oblivion Song faces. But you could really feel that this was the darkest timeline, and the despair in like multiple people's faces are very distinct and stand out to me in a good way. And I think that it like the tone of this book, like it really just emphasized it.
100%. Killer
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
He,
No,
he
for
colored
sure.
it too, which is like I
Oh,
double checked. Like he
I
colored and drew
wow,
it. Yeah, like he did
that's
everything for
freaking
the art.
amazing.
Yeah, so I
That's incredible. That's incredible. Yeah, no, he really makes you feel everything they want you to feel, and especially like even this guy who tells Wendell to choke on the nut, the guy with the big glasses, like just looks like such a dick. Just gotta hate
Oh,
that guy. But
Here's a
yeah,
question
no.
posed to you. A Radiant Black solo series or Radiant Yellow, where the hell would that even be? Would we see this timeline? Would it be set in the darkest timeline? Like, we don't know.
I have no
Or-
idea. Yeah.
Or throughout time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Each
I don't
issue is a
know.
different timeline.
But you already know this has to be included in there if they do end up making some stuff
Absolutely.
and collecting that in. But no, fingers crossed for that, because definitely want some more spotlight on Wendell, like just the way like they can tell these different stories. Like you can do that sometimes in Radiant Black, and they can go through timelines, but just seeing it from his point of view is definitely crazy and special.
As long as we get Stefano Simeone back to do art, I'm all in, man. Like, this guy killed it. Like,
Yeah.
if we get a 5-issue miniseries, please get Stefano back. I know that might not be doable, but if we could, oh baby,
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, to get 22 pages of Stefano's art, like full pages, even though here we could arguably that we got more because of how many panels we have, but yeah, like I just wanna, I can't wait. Anyway,
Speaking of panels, what's going on panel to panel this week, guys?
panel to panel. We actually recently did a Riddler discussion, and now we're gonna have I think Bullet Adventures or something like that. We're reading an indie comic by an indie creator.
Okay.
Is it a Kickstarter comic? I think it's a Kickstarter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think
Yeah,
we're
so-
recording that on Monday.
Yeah.
You guys
so-
going through all the One Bad Days, or just was intrigued with the
No,
Riddler?
just the Riddler
for
for
now,
now, but we'll look into more as they come. But we are there are some titles that we're committing to discussing monthly, and I think it's Carnage, Ice Cream Man, Batman,
Dual
and
Power Bomb.
Carnage is
Power
good
Bomb.
shit, man.
Yeah.
I fucking I really love that series so far.
Oh
Love
yeah.
it. Love the art on that. Oh my god.
Oh
Just real quick too. Next week we have Rogue Sun number 7 and Dead Lucky 3. And Rogue Sun number 7 I'm very excited for specifically because
yeah.
this would
Choose
be
Your Own
my
Adventure.
first Choose Your Own Adventure. Exactly. So it should be pretty
You
cool.
never read the Goosebumps Choose Your Own Adventure?
No, I never read Goosebumps, to be honest.
The fuck?
No, that's it.
Oh.
No, but those
Stuff
preview
of
pages
Nightmare.
look.
You guys check it out.
Those preview pages looked freaking amazing. Like he was talking to a dragon or some shit. Like I was like, this looks absolutely like, yeah, no, cannot wait for that. It looked like. I hope we see some big, huge monsters and some shit, but definitely gonna get wild.
Yeah. If you guys like R.L. Stine, check out Stuff of Nightmares. It was pretty good. It was a lot like Goosebumps, but like more for adults, and it just came out like last week from I think Boom Studios. Pretty good. I enjoyed it. If you like Goosebumps, I think you'll dig it. But yeah, I think that's it for today. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining us on this multifaceted, crazy timeline issue. We had a blast talking about it. And, stay reading, everyone.